Hello and welcome to Todd Talk, where insight meets inspiration. I'm your host, Todd Hiller, and I'm an author, speaker, and longtime community leader, here to guide you on a journey towards fulfillment and balance. In every episode, we'll explore ways to fill life's emptiness, helping you uncover practical tools to create harmony, purpose, and happiness. Whether it's thriving in your career, nurturing personal growth, or simply finding joy in the everyday, Todd Talk is your space for real conversations and actionable advice. So let's thrive together, personally, professionally, and beyond. This is Todd Talk, and I'm thrilled to have you here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Todd Talk. Today, I want to talk to you about a way to check in with yourself, a way to find if you are doing the things you want to do and find if you are on the right track. It is June. We are halfway through the year. The 6th month mark has rolled around. It's also my birthday month, and every year around my birthday, I always take a real hard, long look at the things in my life and what I'm spending my time on and really kind of give myself a gut check and ask myself, am I happy? Am I doing the things I set out to do back in January? And while I've never been big on New Year's resolutions, I've always been big on maybe setting a theme for the year or finding a way that I'd like to improve myself or something I'd like to walk towards, and then working towards that instead of saying I want to lose 15 pounds or I want to go to the gym more or whatever it is. Because I find sometimes, for me personally, I know resolutions work fine for a lot of people, I'd rather have a goal or a word for the year and kind of set out to do that. So June has rolled around, and it's our natural reset point, I think. We're halfway through the year. And a big part of what I think you should look at is, how am I feeling? How am I doing? What am I feeling? And what am I doing? And to do that, you have to do a couple things. You have to look at what takes up most of your time. You have to look at what you are spending your valuable energy on. And then check in with yourself and say, given all the things that I'm doing or not doing, am I happy with how much energy I'm giving away to those things? Am I happy with the commitment level that I have? Am I happy with the things that I'm making time for? And quite frankly, a really good place to start is, am I happy, period? I think it takes a really great friend to ask someone, hey, are you happy? Is your heart happy? Because we make a lot of small talk. We make the conversation of, oh, how are you? We say, oh, great. You? Oh, great. We're busy. Oh, yeah, same. Kids got sports and all this kind of stuff. And it kind of lives and breathes around there. And everybody, that small talk kind of lingers a lot with people. And it's not that we don't want to give in and have the actual real conversations. Sometimes we're either not that close with that person. Sometimes we don't have time. And other times it's because we really don't want to go down the road of all the things we haven't faced yet. So I encourage you right now in June to do that with yourself. Take this as gut check month, reset month, burnout check-in month, mental, whatever you want to call it. It's halfway through the year. Give yourself a reflection of the first 6 months of the year, and then set yourself up for the next 6 months of the year and see how you want to progress and what you want to do. And if there's something that's not going your way, or there's something that's not making you feel the way you want to feel or making you happy, don't be afraid to look right at it and change it if you can. And if it's something you want to do within the course of this year, you still have 6 months to do it. You still have time to change things. And I will also remind you that there is no such thing as being too old to either start over or change the direction of your life. You can start doing that at any age, any point in your life, because your happiness is the goal, your fulfillment is the goal, you having a sense of purpose is the goal. It doesn't matter what age you are. It matters that you're checking in with yourself and giving yourself the permission to take a really honest look at if you are happy with the things you're spending your time on. So let's dive into how to do that. We'll talk about how we can look at things. We'll talk about what we should look at, and then we'll talk about what to walk away with and how we can kind of set ourselves up to have a great second half of the year. All right, so first let's talk about the what. What is it that you're doing with your time, and does that make you happy? And when you do this with yourself, when you look at this, be really clear. If you say, man, I'm worn out and I'm run down and I'm depleted, you know that I speak about burnout, myself, the way I was burned out, and also ways to help people recover from that. So ask yourself, hey, listen, am I burned out and depleted, or is this just a case of stagnation? Because sometimes, and maybe even pretty often, we're not necessarily depleted. We're not ready to jump ship. We're not so angry we want to give up on something altogether. We just feel stagnant, and that's perfectly okay. Summertime can feel that way sometimes for a lot of reasons. Oh, well, school's out, work's the same. Everything's just kind of going to hum along for the rest of the year. The busyness sometimes settling down might make it seem like things are more monotonous because you don't have those things to keep you moving from point to point. So as you do that, I would encourage you to do also, when it comes to something like summer, especially if you're a parent and your kids are on break, make it don't be afraid to make it the summer of saying no. Set yourself some boundaries. When people say, oh, hey, do you want to do X, Y, and Z? Be like, no, not really. My son had the chance to play in a summer baseball league, and, we talked to him about it, and we talked about it as a family, and it was one of those things that it might be fun, but it's a very long way away. It's almost an hour drive just to get to the field where he would be his quote-unquote home field, and then the games are from that point to the central point. So from there, they're another hour and a half away or 2 hours away. So it would have been a lot. And, that's not something I want to do to him. I want to encourage him to take some time to reset and rest and unwind and do the things he doesn't have the time to do during the normal course of the school year. It's okay to do that yourself, too, if you are an adult. Give yourself some time to just say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to have a low-key weekend. I want to have a low-key day. You don't have to run from commitment to commitment and event to event if you don't have to, especially if it's leaving you feeling burned out and worn out and tired and exhausted. Now, that was my little quick aside about the summer of saying no. Don't be afraid to say no to some things. However, getting back to the stuck and stagnant part. Sometimes we just feel stagnant and stuck with things because we haven't had any major changes in a while. So here's one way when you look at something in your life, I think, to do a really good check-in with, are you done and over this thing? Are you burned out and worn out? Is it time to change or move on? Or are you just feeling stagnant? So here's what I think you should do, at least as a way to check in with yourself. Ask yourself this question. To figure out if you're stagnant or if you're depleted and burned out and ready for a change, say, if I took a 2-week break from everything, 2 weeks, gone, no commitments, I don't care where you're going, whether you're going to an island or you're going on vacation, you're hiding in a cabin in the mountains with your significant other or, someone special, I don't care what it is. If you had 2 weeks to just get away and have no responsibilities and everything could be gone, your only responsibility was to get up early, sit on the front porch, drink coffee, and listen to the birds sing, whatever you want to imagine. If you had that 2-week break, when you came back or when I came back, would you be excited to pick up the things in your life or would you be dreading it? And that, for me, has done a lot to help me see the path and the things I should continue and the path towards things I should give up or maybe take a break from. Because burnout is emotional exhaustion, often paired with cynicism and kind of a reduced sense of effectiveness. You're like, hey, listen, I'm trying to do all this stuff, but I'm running on empty. I'm so depleted. I have nothing left to give. And I've said before in previous episodes, burnout is about capacity, not necessarily just about energy. So, hey, I have no capacity to do anything else. I have no capacity to give back to anyone, no capacity to help other people, to pick up this new thing, to go to this meeting, to say, yes, I can help my neighbor, whatever it is. So as you do that, also think stagnation is kind of like a stillness or a numbness. You're not necessarily depleted so much, but you're maybe directionless is a good word. Things aren't terrible, but they're not inspiring you because you're just surviving and you're not thriving. And that's okay. If something is stagnant, it doesn't necessarily mean it's time to kick it to the curb. It might just mean you need to reevaluate, either change direction or give that one thing in your life a little bit of a new direction and let it pick up some interesting and exciting energy. So start with that question. Hey, if I had a 2-week break from everything, would I come back excited or still dreading it? And if your answer is I'd still be dreading it, that points towards burnout. Rest doesn't cure being burned out, right? It's not necessarily about energy. You can go away for 2 weeks and come back. If you are truly burned out and worn out and depleted and that thing no longer serves you, rest is not going to help that because the system you're returning to is broken or toxic or unsustainable, and you've ended up in this place you have to find a way to walk out of. If your answer is yes or maybe I'd feel a little bit better, but I'd still feel stuck. Maybe I'd feel pretty good about returning back to it because I'd have some new energy to hit it with, then that's kind of pointing towards stagnation. You might need growth more than you need rest, and you might need to find new challenges within that one thing. So if you go away for 2 weeks and you're like, this is great, I'm rested, here we go, I'm going to hit the ground running, I can't wait to be back to X, Y, and Z about my day-to-day personal life, that's awesome. That means that you were just a little stuck, you had some rest, you got some new energy, maybe while you were sitting in the mountains with your coffee and your friend and the bird feeder, you had some new things come to you, some new ideas of how to approach the things in your life, and you can hit the ground running and be happy. If you come back from 2 weeks and you're like, God, I don't even want to do this anymore. I don't want to show up, don't want to walk through the door, don't want to end up, don't want to see him, hear him, talk to him, whatever it is, whether it's a person, a relationship, a commitment, a job, a career, a volunteer opportunity, I don't care what it is, whatever it is. if that's what you approach it with when you start walking back into it, then that's a problem. And another way you can frame this, I think, is you can say, does everything feel like too much or does nothing feel like enough? Because that is a really powerful question. Because if you say everything feels like too much, you are depleted, you're burned out, you've had enough. You say everything is too much, don't want to do this anymore. If you say nothing feels like enough, if that's the case, then you might still be really interested in what you're doing, but you're just struggling to be, quote-unquote, enough or to do enough to make you feel like you're really making good progress or forward progress or good headway in that one thing or that one area. So ask yourself that too. And, think about it. If you fantasize about quitting, then that's a pretty good sign that you might have to quit or it might be time to go. But if you fantasize about changing, if you think about, God, this would be so good if X, Y, and Z could happen, or if I could do this, or if this were the case, or we could start a new chapter, or turn this one thing into this thing and have it be great because it would give it new energy and a new look and a reframing. God, that would be so exciting. If you can do that, and if you want to change things up and you want to change directions or shake things up, then that's a sign that things just might be stagnant and you have a way to hit the ground running and push yourself towards some new ideas and get going with it. Because there is this thing in my mind, burned out versus bored. Sometimes we can be burned out. Sometimes we can just be bored because it seems old hat, humdrum routine, same old, nothing is new or different. And if you are looking towards the idea of, is this still for me? Or when did I lose sight of this? Another really difficult question, and it's a difficult question to ask yourself, but it's a really necessary one. I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time I felt energized by what I do? Or I felt energized by this one thing or this one idea or this one person or this one group or job, whatever. Okay, so whatever your thing is, say, when was the last time I felt energized by this and what changed since then? And that will give you really pinpoint accuracy to figure out if you either need to change directions or if it's time to go. And I've said in a previous episode, do not be afraid to let go of the things that no longer serve you. And there's lots of fun sayings that surround this, right? If you find yourself at a table surrounded by people you don't want to be with, never be afraid to change sheets. And if you have to change seats, that's a lot to say. If you have to change seats and you can't find a new one, never be afraid to build your own table. Do all of those things. But ask yourself, when was the last time I was excited about this? When was the last time I wanted to do this? And then when you figure out when that was, and I mean, think about it. What was the date? What was the time? What was the circumstance? What was the thing that was different then versus now? And when you figure that out, you can help yourself track whether you've been slowly worn down into a stage of burnout or if you've outgrown your current path. And like I said, outgrowing your current path is perfectly okay. It's okay to change. It's okay to change directions. It's okay to pick up and move on. And it is certainly okay to move towards something else in your life that you want to do and leave behind the thing that no longer serves you. And I really want you to reflect on this. I want you to look back on this because, look, some days it's hard to tell if you need a nap, a new job, or really just have a good cry. But if the problem isn't that you're broken, and a lot of times we think this, or we think the problem is me, the problem is us, but sometimes the problem is the pattern. The problem is what we're stuck in. The problem are the things in front of us, and maybe it's not us, it's just the way we're viewing things, and that we don't have the ability to kind of look on the backside or the top side or the underside of the issue, whatever side you want to look at it from, and realize what it looks like without us standing right behind it. Because from our point of view, the problem is right in front of us. And if you think, I've seen this visualized in a couple different ways, and right now it's rolling around in my brain. If you think of a person, zoom way out in your head and think of just a screen, think of a person with this giant rock in front of them, and there's this little tiny path in front of them, and they can't go left or right because there's trees in the way. And then all they see is the rock and the trees. They say, I have no way to get through this. But the person looking at it from the top down or from the wider screen that zoomed way out, if they walk around one tree, it's the rock's just there, and they can continue right back to the path and walk around the rock, get back on the clear path, and keep going. So sometimes we see the obstacle. We see it right in front of us, and we look left and right, and there are other obstacles right there, typically that are related to the obstacle right in front of us. Oh, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z, or this is my big roadblock, or I can't get promoted at work, or I'm not making any headway in my relationship or my friendship, whatever it is. And then the side obstacles are things we relate to that because we're like, oh, well, I can't get promoted at work because that's the obstacle. And then one side is my boss hates me. The other side is, I have a coworker who's just a complete brown nose and they get promoted for everything. But if you take a step back and look, there's probably a way to say, you know what? I don't have to work for this boss. I don't have to work with this coworker. There's 45 other jobs open within the place I work. I can move around and go someplace where I'm valued and I'm feeling better. And even if this is not about a career for you, even if it's about something else, there are always ways to look at things and reframe them and figure out different ways to get to where you want to go. Never think there's only one path through what you want to get through. There's always lots of paths, and even though they look different, doesn't make them any less valuable sometimes than the other ones. So that's what I want you to look at and what I want you to do. So this is your mid-year check-in and gut check. Ask yourself all those questions. And don't be afraid to ask yourself those questions about lots of different things in your life, because I think you'll get lots of different answers. When it comes to your job, you might say, yep, I'm okay. My job's a little stagnant, but I still like it. We're doing good. It's just a slow time of year. Things are picking back up. I'm excited for this project in the future, or I'm happy that I did really great on this project, a few months ago, whatever it is. But relate it to everything, your job, your career, your relationships, your friendships, your marriage. Find ways to reinvent and renew things if you need to, but ask yourself some really hard questions. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, you will never have the ability to clearly give yourself the advice you need to walk through something. It is always a blessing when we have someone in our life that we can go to with anything, literally anything, and have them provide us an objective point of view and give us some really great and sound advice and listen to us when we're upset and kind of help us walk through and talk through things. But sometimes if you don't have that person, or that person's not around, or you're just in a moment where you don't want anybody else around and you want to walk through it and work through it yourself, you have to have the ability to be really brutally honest with yourself. So this is gut check time. This is June. This is what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? How am I going to reset and refocus and look at the things in my life? So make that list. Figure out what it is that you want to reevaluate and ask yourself those hard questions about either burned out or stagnant, about if I was given 2 weeks off, what would I come back to? Would I be dreading this thing or looking forward to this thing, and whatever it is? And answer those questions within the aspect of all the different things you want to put on your list and write down. And if you're a person who journals, do this in your journal. It's a great journaling activity. So that's what we do. And then once you have the what and you have the look of, okay, these are the things I need to do, and here's my answers. I gave myself all these things, posed the question to myself in all these different areas of my life. I have my answers, and now you're saying, okay, Hiller, now what? Well, now what comes to looking at it and the reflecting and figuring out how to walk forward and bringing yourself to a place where you're really happy and really ready to get going and have a killer second half of the year. So here's what we do. I gave you the questions to ask yourself, so that's good. Once you pose yourself the questions, here we go. It's time to walk forward. And there's a couple things you can do. If you are feeling burned out, and if you are feeling like, I don't know what to do, I am depleted, here's what I want you to do. For the next 6 months, I want you to rest, rebuild, and redesign. Those 3 R's, okay? Burnout recovery is like rehabbing an injury. You don't go back to running the next day after you heal or you hurt your knee. You take time to heal completely, and then you train differently. You don't just jump back into everything. You don't say, okay, well, that's great. I took my week's vacation, and I'm going to jump headlong back into everything and hit the ground, being super busy again, and I have no choice. Because the truth is, you do have a choice. And this is something that's really hard to hear, because I know right now there's some people saying, well, I don't have a choice. I have kids and a spouse and a job and a part-time job and this and that and commitments and meetings and PTO and, my volunteer activities and sports practice and all this kind of stuff. And I get it. Please hear me when I tell you I get it. If you're new here, I had 12 different things that I was committed to every single month, on top of being a husband, a dad, and having a full-time job. 12 things: outside organizations, volunteer opportunities, committees, boards, board of directors, nonprofits, volunteer activities, all kinds of stuff. 12 of them in a month. There's only 30 days in a month. So when I understand if you're sitting there saying, I can't do that, I have too much on my plate, but you can do it. And you need to do it because if you need to rest and you need to reset from burnout and you need to recover, remember, burnout's not just about energy, it's about capacity. So rest doesn't always just fix it. When you go to recover from burnout, you have 6 months to do it, okay? When it comes to the physical things, physically prioritize your sleep, your hydration, eating food that actually fuels you. Quit the junk food. I love snacks. I love sweets. I have a giant sweet tooth. I would eat ice cream every single night if I could. But you have to eat things that help you feel better, that fuel you, because physically, your physical health has a tie into your emotional health. Trust me, I know. Mentally, do the same thing to reset and recover. Step back from your non-essential commitments and give yourself permission to do less. I'm going to say that again, and the reason I'm going to say it again is because it took me months, literal months, probably years if we add it up, but we're not going to go there. But give yourself permission to do less. You do not have to do everything on this planet. There are other people in your life that can help you. Just ask them. If you don't ask, the answer will always be no. Again, ask me how I know this. Okay? So recover physically with good foods, get lots of sleep, make sure you're hydrated. We're basically little house plants. We need sunlight, lots of water, okay, and good food, okay? And then if you are a person who journals, use this as a prompt. What's draining me the most, and what can I set down even temporarily? Because listen, folks, we said this in another episode. If you throw all these juggling pins up in the air and do your best to keep running going, if you don't learn to set one or two of them down along the way and stop them from being over your head in the big juggling circle that's going on and swimming above your dome, if that's the case, you don't learn how to set them down, they're all going to come crashing down at the same time because you're going to lose track of every single one. Okay? So do that for yourself. Give yourself permission to say no and to take on and do less and start your way to recovery. And if on the heels of that you're saying, well, how do I give myself permission to do less? You have to set some boundaries. You have to do this. Again, I said before in a previous episode, it's one of my taglines, kindness without boundaries leads to severe burnout and unrealistic expectations. A simple way to set boundaries is learn to say no without feeling guilty. Practice it out loud. If you have to, look in the mirror and say it. I can't take that on right now. Nope, I don't have room for that. I've got some other stuff that's keeping me busy. I need a break for a bit. Whatever you want to say, however you want to frame it, if you have to practice out loud, do it. But it's okay to say no. No is a complete sentence. The reason people ask so much of you, if you are a person who is a constant yes sayer like I was or I am, if the reason people always call on you is because other people they asked said no. So they have to call on somebody. They have to keep asking people until someone says yes. So you're not alone if you say no. You're not the outcast or the outlier or the bad person or the bad guy or the bad girl. Okay? You're just a person who said no. And take a look at your calendar, too. My daughter the other day looked at our calendar. We have a skylight tablet on our kitchen counter, and it's got everybody's calendar on, everybody's schedules and sports practices and appointments and doctors and dentists and here and there and events and sleepovers at grandma's house and everything in between. And my daughter was like, why is there nothing on the calendar? And I said, because it's summertime and school is over and field trips are over and sports are over for the time being and I have to go to work, but otherwise we've got very little to do. So celebrate that. So look at your calendar and give yourself that time to say, oh boy, why is this so busy? What here can go? Because I promise if you look at it, there's some stuff that can go. Okay, I know sometimes it's hard. We have to keep this. It's like cleaning out a drawer in your bedroom, right? Oh, I have to keep all 28 of these T-shirts, even though I only wear the same 7, okay? Some stuff can go. I promise it'll be okay. Now, the other thing is this is not a microwave, okay? This is like a crock pot thing. So choose one area to realign. You've got 6 months. You can't do everything in one leap and bound. It takes time to do things correctly and to heal correctly. So choose one area. Career, relationships, health, whatever it is. Pick your one thing, pick your topic, and then find ways to realign that. Ask yourself, what does sustainable look like for me? Create boundaries and habits to figure out how you can keep yourself feeling sustainable. And then begin rebuilding purpose, okay? Small projects that feel meaningful, not overwhelming. Do the little things that you've always wanted to do that help you get that back that sense of meaning and that sense of purpose in those different things. Because the end goal is to feel grounded, clear, and no longer running on fumes. That's the goal. It's not to say, now I have this big giant to-do list of these 15 things I have to rebuild and redesign in my life. It's to just give yourself permission to do the couple things, okay? Focus on one area and figure out how to rebuild that. Now, that was if you're burned out. If you're feeling stagnant or stuck and you need to put some new eyes on some things, disrupt your routine. Change something small every week. Your route to work, your route to your practice, your kids' dance practice, whatever it is, the way you brush your teeth, I don't care what you change something small every week about you and your routines and your environment. And then you can also try the first-time experience when it comes to a class or a hobby or a new conversation. Ask yourself some hard questions. Come up with deep questions to ask your family and yourself at the dinner table and make you answer them and make them centered around what you like doing or what you're feeling inside or what you're most excited about for the summer or the next 2 weeks or the next 2 months. Whatever it is, give yourself a way to do those types of things, and you can walk forward into learning how to be a better person within the realm of the things that you're feeling stagnant about. And I don't mean a better person because you're a bad person now, but you want to be better in those areas that you're feeling stagnant because you want to change your purpose and your energy and find ways to be excited about that again. So you can find ways to do that. And if it means picking one goal or one thing that feels exciting but just a little bit scary, that's okay. Make sure it's not overwhelming. Make sure it's energizing and say, hey, you know what? I can do this. Because if you do weekly micro steps, if you do little things every single week, again, you have 6 months. You got a lot of weeks to walk through this, okay? You can find ways to do those little micro things every single week that will bring about big, big progress. And if you need a way to find your purpose within what you're doing or what you're already involved in, maybe volunteer, maybe mentor, maybe sign up to teach a class. Start giving your energy to other people in small doses, okay? The burnout folks don't want to do this because you're talking about trying to find ways to free up your energy. But if you're feeling stagnant and you're not worn out, you just feel like, oh, something's got to change. How can I reignite this and make it a little bit better for me? Do that. Find ways to pass on your passion, okay? Because when you start doing something like that, if someone asks you a question about something you're really interested in, it gets so easy to talk about it. If somebody says, hey, could you tell me a little bit about XYZ? And you're like, oh man, that's right in my wheelhouse. I love that. You could talk for hours. So give your purpose the priority and pass some of that along to other people, whether it's mentoring or teaching or whatever it is. Give yourself the ability to do that for folks and help light yourself back up and redesign and refine and reignite your purpose. And you can also do things like read books, find things, find courses, find books, find energy to keep moving and keep going on. If you go to Udemy, that is I think that's what it's called. It's a website where you can take a class legit on anything you want to. And some are free, some cost a little bit of money. But if you want to expand your knowledge or you want to buy a book, you want to take a class, go ahead and do it. Investing in yourself always pays off. Tenfold. Always, always, always. Betting on yourself is a great investment. And your goal here, if you're someone who's feeling stagnant, is to feel lit up by life again with direction and energy. So as we close, here's what I want to leave you with. Burnout and stagnation are both invitations. One says, please slow down. The other says, please wake up. The goal isn't to return to your old life. It's to build a better one. And 6 months from now, when December rolls around, you could be living in a reality that finally fits you. And I want that to give you hope. Because hope is a beautiful thing, and I know that there are beautiful things within you, and if you start exploring them, I promise you can learn about yourself, you can grow, and you can make yourself find a new path that feels really, really meaningful, or you can get back on the path you're currently on and find the energy to sprint down it because you're so excited about what's in the future and what's to come. Thank you, my friends, so much, as always, for listening. I appreciate your time and energy. Please follow me here on Todd Talk and also give me a follow on social media. Todd W. Hiller is my username across all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, all the way down the line. You can also find me as Todd Hiller on LinkedIn. Appreciate your time and your energy. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hope you enjoyed the message. Thanks for tuning in to Todd Talk. If you've liked what you've heard, please go ahead and subscribe and follow along so you don't miss any updates or new episodes. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of your day.